What's going on, guys? It's Trosty here with another YouTube video. Today we're going to be discussing from the PTS of the Elsweyr downloadable content what the Magicka Dragonknight is looking like coming up with this next patch. I've done a lot of testing on this, and I have tested multiple, and when I say multiple, I mean multiple sets. I think the other night on stream we actually tested about 8 or 9 different set combinations, trying to figure out what is looking like the best sets to use on the Magicka Dragonknight for next patch. As many of you guys know, Magicka Dragonknight is my main class, and this seemed like the best place to start to figure out what are we looking at, what's going to be the best thing to be using, and how are we going to get Magicka Dragoknights back on the board again, back for rating, back for them shining bright. So let's hop right into it. Through my findings, it seemed to be like a lot of the things stayed the same. Granted, for whichever race you use, things are going to be changed as well. As of right now, I'm still carrying on with the Brett and Magicka Dragonknight because I myself do enjoy that juicy sustain. The other class that you could use is, or the other race, I'm sorry, that you could use is Khajiit for that extra crit. But why do we need extra crit when we can already add crit sets to already have that high number? So let's hop into what my findings actually showed first and foremost. Granted, I want you guys to know that when I was testing this was whenever the Iron Atronach was bugged. Engulfing Flames was stacking. I did reset the dummy after every single parse, but I don't know if that actually fixed the bug. So, for the sets that I used, we'll just list them off in a row. The first set that I used was Mother Sorrow and Perfected Sororia. Mother Sorrow is an overland set that you can get from the Sean. That's from World Bosses, Public Dungeons, and I think the other one is Dolmen's. And Perfected Sororia drops from Cauterize +1, +2, or +3 only on Veteran. So with that combination, when we parsed, we got 83,446 DPS. Overall, that's a pretty massive number. Like I said, the Iron Atronach was bugged. I don't know if that was truly, in fact, the actual parse. We'll actually find out today. Our second set was Burning Spellweave and Mother Sorrow. I wanted to try Burning Spellweave because of the flame damage that it does provide you. It's very good for classes that give you that flame passive. Burning Spellweave drops from City of Ash 1 or 2, normal or vet. If you guys didn't know that, and we already discussed with Mother Sorrow where that drops from. What I got with the Burning Spellweave and Mother Sorrow set was 73,858 DPS. In all of these parses, the numbers for my uptime on my dots and on my damage were very similar. They were very close in one another. It's just the simple fact that some sets do better than other sets. For the third test, we tried Burning Spellweave and Perfected Sororia. We parsed 77,291. For the fourth test, we combined Silks of the Sun and Perfected Sororia. Silks of the Sun drops from Stonefalls. It's an overland set from Stonefalls, so once again, Dolmen's, Public Dungeons, Delves, World Bosses, that's where you get that from. That was more of a fun test. I wanted to see where it was looking, how it was looking, and for lack of a better term, I was disappointed in how it performed. Granted, it still seemed like a viable set if that's the only one that you could get a hold of, but it's not the set that you actually want to be using. With Sun and Sororia, we parsed 75,251. The next combination, actually the next parses that I did, they were all combined with Spellstrat, and besides the last one, was not a it was you aren't given the minor slayer buff. So with these sets, I was actually impressed to see what the damage was and to see how neck to neck it was whenever you do have minor slayer activated from wearing that 5-piece bonus set. But the next setup was Spellstrat and Sororia. That parse was 78,057. Pretty good number for Spellstrat and Sororia. And you gotta think too that we are using, or we're having 90+% on Spell Strategist, and obviously 90+% on a 20 stack of Sororia. Spell Strategist drops from Battlegrounds Rewards of the Worthy set or boxes. They also drop from Cyrodiil boxes too. It just goes based on the amount of AP that you earn. AP being alliance points. That's how you gain that set. Or you can just buy it from a guild trader. It's bind on equip, not bind, on your account. Not bind on pickup. Spellstrat and Mother Sorrow was the next combination that we used. Once again, no minor slayer on these next parses. That one was 75,572. Not too shabby with no minor slayer. Pretty good. The next parse was Spell Strategist and Burning Spellweave. I was actually pretty disappointed in this one. This was 73,567. Kind of embarrassing actually. With Burning Spellweave, it was such a powerful set for such a long time, and to see it kind of just arc downhill is kind of disappointing to see. And our last parse was just kind of a, well, what if? And this one was the same combination of Spell Strategist and Sororia, but what we wanted to do was we wanted to do it with the Thief Mundustone to see if it improved our damage. So with that parse, it was a 77,729 DPS. Once again, pretty good. Not what we were looking for. So through all of these parses, what I found was Mother Sorrow and Sororia was actually the best combination for using in the Elsweyr PTS. I didn't try the new set that comes from Sunspire for Magicka, because basically what that is that is a Magicka version of Vicious Ophidian. We don't need that on a Breton Magicka Dragonknight. That's not going to help us. Yes, it's a great it's a great idea of having just all of the Restore Magicka bonuses that you get with that new set, but there was really no point in having it. Whereas we're already sitting at 1,427 Magicka recovery. So since we did the research, we figured out what is actually going to be the next set combination, next patch. Let's go ahead and get into all the other information and get you guys underway and let you guys learn what the Magicka Dragonknight is all about. So we'll go over stats first. Obviously, 64 into your attribute points. I am a Breton Dragonknight. Your maximum Magicka is going to be 38,903. This is on your back bar. Front bar, 39,488. I do need to check to make sure I am wearing the sets real quick. I am. Maximum health, 15,609. This is actually pretty weak. What you can do to negate that loss of health is actually throw a max health glyph on a big armor piece, whether it be your breeches, your chest, your helmet. One of those will work and will balance that out and give you enough health for raid. Our maximum stamina, 10,027. Spell damage is 1986. Spell critical, 66.1. Pretty good. Actually, very good. Spell resistance. Spell resistance on a Dragonknight is always going to be high because of our passives. And physical resistance isn't too bad either. Magic recovery is 1,446 on the front bar. For the Mundustone that I'm using is the Shadow. And I am using Witch Mother's Potent Brew for my food. We do have the minor Slayer buff. And we always have Major Prophecy as long as we have a particular ability on our bar. And being a vampire on a Magicka Dragonknight actually immensely helps as well. Yes, it sucks having that flame damage or additional flame damage that comes with the curse of vampire, but that Magicka recovery is just too good to beat. let's get into the sets. Using Zon for your monster set, heavy helmet, medium shoulder. You can swap these if you want a heavy shoulder, medium helmet. That's fine. If you just want to go with what you get first, you're totally okay with that. Perfected Sororia on the body, because you want that constant uptime of Minor Slayer and the stack that you get with using the Sororia boon. All Magicka glyphs on every single body piece, unless you want to throw a health glyph on a heavy piece. For jewelry, we have Mother Sorrow, all gold, spell damage enchantments on all of it. We do actually need to change these to Bloodthirsty, so we'll do that in the video real quick. Inferno Staff of Mother Sorrow, weapon damage enchant on the front bar, precise for your trait. On the back bar, Maelstrom Inferno Staff infused with your Berserker enchant. Now, like I said, guys, this was the best possible setup that you could get. So, I have seen there's a lot of rumors on the Magicka Dragonknight for the Elsweyr PTS. This video is one of those videos to provide you a build and a rotation where you do not need to spam one ability over and over again. Because if you guys are anything like me, spamming abilities is not fun. There is no enjoyment of that. We play these games to enjoy them, not to sit there and press the same button over and over again. It's not enjoyable. I mean, that's just the bottom line of it. If you do, I'm sure that somebody else will post a video later on. But anyways, let's see if I have enough transmute crystals. I have 50. So what we'll do is we will actually do this build with 1 arcane and 2 bloodthirsty. That's still not a bad setup, just because, I mean, you do get a lot of magic from it. And that extra magic buff, it's always said, the more magic you have, the harder you hit, which is true. Because once you run out of magic, all you're doing is heavy attacking, or you're waiting for a synergy to actually get that magic back up. Let's go ahead and transmute this real quick. Bloodthirsty. The rotation I'm using is the same one that I used in the previous video. This rotation, I've been using it for however long I can remember. It's worked every single patch. It gives you anywhere from 80 to 90% constant uptime on basically everything. So definitely, this rotation is definitely one to use. It is kind of difficult to learn, I will tell you that. But once you get the hang of it, you'll be good to go. So let's go ahead and get this parse going. The rotation, I'm going to talk through it, and then I'm going to actually do it. After I do it, we will do a slower rotation on the 3 mil dummy, but just to display it on the Iron Atro, which gives you full rate buffs, but besides Major Fracture, I do believe, just to see what we're capping out at, and to see how good we're looking. So let's go ahead and get things started here. So for your rotation, the way that I've always ran it is you activate Mage Light, or Inner Light, I'm sorry. Heavy attack, because you get that 50% chance to get a crit or a non-crit. So you're kind of playing with fire. But you go in with a heavy attack, Eruption, Rearming Trap, Flames of Oblivion, Wall of Elements, drop your standard. Bar swap, cancel the standard. Go to your front bar, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, 5 whips. Swap back to your back bar, Wall of Elements, swap to your front bar, 2 whips, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers. You're going to go to your back bar again, relay all your dots, Eruption, Rearming Trap, Flames of Oblivion, Wall of Elements, swap back to your front bar, 4 whips, Burning Embers, Engulfing Flames, 1 whip, bar swap, Wall of Elements, bar swap, 3 whips, reset. It's very easy to learn if you take the time and the dedication to learn it. It is not difficult. It will not be difficult to keep uptime on everything. It's a great rotation, and don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. Let's go ahead and get into it. Me personally, I like to have my pot about halfway through before I actually start my rotation. This is better on a 6-mil dummy than this big dummy because obviously it helps with sustain. And with this, we don't really have a problem with sustain at all. And you'll see why if you haven't seen the Iron Atro in play. Let's go into it. Five whips here. Wall. 2 whips. Engulfing. Burning embers. Relay your dots. Now 4 whips. It's a very quick rotation. It does sound difficult. In order for me to even learn this rotation, when I first started playing Magicka Dragonknight, I had to actually write it down on a piece of paper to even learn it. So it does take some practice, don't get me wrong. But I honestly cannot think of another rotation in this game, whatever character it may be, that gives such a fluid rotation. And we're burning this dummy right along. What I like to do is take out a whip to keep my dots up at all times. So you'll drop your standard and you'll replace the standard with a whip, or replace the whip with a standard, either or. And as you can tell, I'm not losing magic anytime soon. That's partly from doing this on the Iron Atronach and being a Breton. Because Breton is just too good to pass up. Also in your rotation, guys, do not forget the light attack in between every single ability. That really helps with the fluidity of your rotation, and it makes things just smoother. And light attacking in between your abilities it's very simple. It's just timing it right. Whether you're on console, whether you're on PC, just making sure you have your abilities timed right. Making sure that you have enough time in between each ability to light attack. And plus it adds damage. And who doesn't love damage? Am I right? Alright, so now we're getting into the execute phase. This is where the beefy numbers come into play. 41k whip. And we're just burning through the 25%. Go ahead and drop that last standard. For the final damage, we'll do 3 whips instead of 4 to keep our dots up. And then you just want to whip it out. Overall, not too shabby of a parse at all. Very, very simple rotation. 75k parse, that's not bad. Granted, we do only have 2 bloodthirsty instead of 3, so that kind of takes away from the damage of things. But overall, still a very good parse. And I think that these numbers are less exaggerated because the Iron Atronach is actually not, it's not bugged anymore. There's no issues with it, so we can actually tell for sure what these characters are parsing now, so we can actually see, hey, yeah, this is what we're actually doing, and this is what we would be doing in a perfect world, in a perfect raid. So let's go over the combat metrics a little bit. Light attacks, obviously light attacks are going to be right up there, especially on a Magicka character. They're going to be right up there with some of your highest damage. I mean, look at this, a 30,152 light attack. Molten Whip coming in next. The max damage from a whip was 66k. It's pretty massive. Flames of Oblivion is usually a pretty hard hitter too. The unfortunate part is that you only get maybe 5 or 6 ticks from it, considering it's just a ball of flame that's floating around you. If it did tick more, we would maximize this damage. It would be insane. So obviously we had all of these buffs 100% of the time. Berserker was up 99% of the time. That's excellent. 93% on Sororia. Terrific numbers. 92% uptime on Flames of Oblivion. Zon probably could have procced more. Unfortunately, it didn't. Looks like Zon was up 22% of the time overall. Going in 2 buffs out. Burning Embers and Engulfing Flames. I lost some downtime there. Normally, I get around 87%. Or 89%. For some reason, I lost 2% this time. It's whatever. Rearming Trap. 72% is pretty static for a Magicka Dragonknight. You're really not going to find a place to improve it. But for the most part, I mean, that's a pretty good number for Rearming Trap. Looks like our maximum spell damage was 4609. It's pretty good. Spell crit popped up to 72%. Critical damage was 87% max. It's pretty crazy. But we'll go ahead and we'll wrap things up with showing you all the rotation one last time in a slower mode. I'll go over the skills and then we'll wrap this video up. But like I said, I do go in with Inner Light and a heavy attack. We'll see if I can get it to crit. Didn't crit that time. And then you're going to do Eruption, Flames of Oblivion, Rearming Trap, Wall. Switch to your front bar. Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Molten Whip 5 times, bar swap, wall, bar swap, 2 whips, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, back to your back bar, relay all your DOS. Eruption, Engulfing Flames, Rearming Trap, wall. Back to your front bar again. 4 whips. 1, 2, 3, 4. Engulfing Flames. Burning Embers. 1 whip. Bar swap wall. Bar swap 3 whips. And that's it. It's very simple, very easy. So we'll start on back bar for abilities. You do want your standard on the back bar. For some reason it's just easier, and plus additionally you want your meteor on your front bar for that max magic. It's very good to have that little boost of magic on your front bar. Back to the back bar, we have Blockade of Fire, which is a Destruction Staff ability. And this ties in very well with the Maelstrom staff. For those of you that don't know, that's what the Maelstrom Inferno staff was built for. It adds damage onto your elemental blockade. Eruption, probably one of the more or less non-damage dots that we have. I wouldn't say non-damage, but it doesn't have as much damage as some of our other abilities. But I mean, overall, I mean, it fits in nicely into your rotation, and it does very well. Inner Light on your back bar. I double bar Inner Light for that max Magicka buff that you get from the Mages Guild. Inner Light does come from the Mages Guild, which you can find in Guild. Rearming Trap, which comes from the Fighters Guild. Flames of Oblivion, which is an Ardent Flame ability. Back onto your front bar. Inner Light, once again Mages Guild. Harness Magicka to obviously defend yourself. Engulfing Flames, another Ardent Flame ability. Burning Embers, another Ardent Flame ability. And Molten Whip. I have yet to try Flame Lash. I don't know how it's performing in this patch. But I would say if you have somebody providing Lightning Wall, it's pretty good. One last thing before I let you guys go. Let's go over the champion points. Red Tree is pretty self-explanatory. Depending on what trial or what content you're doing is how you want to set these up. I personally, right now, I have 81 Ironclad, 70 Spell Shield, 44 Thick Skin, 0 into Hardy, and 75 Elemental Defender. But the reason I have this set up is for Sunspire, not really a lot of physical poison disease damage taken by DPS. That's more of a tank's area of expertise. A normal run-of-the-mill CP that you would like to use just in regular content would be 49 or 52 in all thick-skinned, hardy, and elemental defender. So you still want to do 81 Ironclad and then drop the rest into Spell Shield. Moving on to the green tree, once again, preference to however your playstyle is. 48 Warlord, 100 Arcanist, 69 Tenacity, and 53 into Tumbling. A lot of people like to put stuff into Shadow Ward, which isn't a bad thing. Blue tree, 48 Elfborn, 48 LE Expert, 27 Spell Erosion, 66 Master, and 9 into Staff Expert. And last but not least, 72 into Thaumaturge. This is the best setup that I've seen for the blue tree, where I've done the most damage thus far. I will continue to test and I will update if I find any changes. But that's about it, guys. We're going to wrap things up here. If you guys liked the video, make sure you drop a like. If you have any questions for me, message me on Discord, comment down below, or message me on Twitter. And most of all, I hope you guys enjoyed it. So you all have a good day, and thanks for watching. Later, guys.